Hello and welcome back. It's Simple Tech, and today we are going to dive into what is going to be useful for us later in the course. That is introducing the server development using Node, specifically Express.js for Node, which we are going to use to create a simple server file for our front end or server side for our front end. And kindly, I'll massively appreciate if you subscribe to this channel, because I've noticed that we may want to get the knowledge but we fail to subscribe. It motivates me when you subscribe. It makes me feel like I need to do more of this. So if you just subscribe, I'll massively appreciate the effort. You can also hit the notification bell so that you can get updates on the upcoming videos. So today we are going to dive into creating a simple server using Express. And if you may want to look a little if you may want to look for knowledge about Express, you can head over to the website that is express.js or Express website for their uh, documentation, that is. So let me navigate to the browser so that we can look at a little bit of something there. So let's look for Express.js for this case. So this is their original website here. It's a web application framework that is used to create Express servers. You can see these are simple Express server. We are going to look at how we are creating it and all the files. You can just come over here. You need to get started, or you can even read the documentations. So this is the whole concept of Express.js, how you can make a directory up to creating an entry file for your server side, and then you can just proceed and look at it. But we are not going to look at that. We are just going to make our own server file. So let's go back to the build. So say if I've created this file, and we are going to create we are going to divide our work into two. That is the front end. I'm going to create a folder here within our simple full stack folder, that is the client, and then you're going to have another one for the server, that is. And then we are going to navigate to our server. You're going to open the terminal here, new terminal. You can also use the shortcut, that is, to create that terminal. So as it's loading, we are going to navigate into this folder here, which is our server, which is going to host all our server codes that we need for us to create the server for our client, and the client is going to hold the files of the client side. So as of now, we are focusing on the server. So we'll just navigate here, cd client server. Here we are now in the server folder. Can clear this up. So we need to install Express. Express is a Node framework that is used, as we saw. It is an Express. It is a Node framework that is used to create simple servers for, or maybe complex servers that you are going to use to link it to your client side. So for us to use it, we can just download it. Let's navigate to the browser, and I'll have a little show on how you can get it. You can just navigate to the npm website here. It has all the node packages that you need to install and how you can install them, with a little bit of documentation. So you can just come here, search for Express, and then you press search. It's going to give you the results here. So you go with this fast and opinionated minimalist web framework. So the installation instruction is here on the right here. So this is how you can just copy it, or you can just type it. So you have a little of the documentation of how it's used when you're using an import, or when you use a common JS, or the ES way of using it. So let's navigate to our VS Code so that we can download the package. So here we type npm for Node Package Manager, install Express, and these packages are going to be installed in an initialized server folder. So for this case, we've just created a folder. We have not initialized the folder yet, so that we can have an initialized folder for us to manage all the packages, to see all the dependencies that we have. So we're just going to type npm init to initialize this server folder here that we are currently in. And if you are not currently in your server folder, you can just navigate using the change directory cd, and then you navigate to the appropriate folder. You're going to see how it's going to create an initialized server, an initialized server folder here. So I press enter. It's going to ask some few questions. The here. So we are going to specify it's a server. We're just going with the default description. Our entry file, I'd like to have it as a server.js, and then we have all the others. I can just leave them, and then here we can just give the author as simple text for this case. Then the license, we can use, instead of using common JS, or let me just have the common JS, then we will change it later so that you can understand. So we've just initialized here our server, so you can see it's having a package. This package.json describes our server, that is the server name, the version of the server that we have created. We have the 1.0 for this our case, but you can just alter with this one. You can change it depending on your development level of your server. We have a brief description. We have the license for your server. We have the author here. We have the type. This type describes how you're going to get the packages that you've installed. And we have our entry file. This is our entry file. And very key to this project is our our scripts. Here is where we are going to write the scripts that we execute for the server to keep running. So we open our terminal again, and now we install the packages that we need. So this package.json is going to manage for us our packages. You're going to use it as a table of content to look at what packages that you've installed, what package you don't have, and what package you have. So we are going to install npm install Express for this case. So when we install Express, it's going to take a little bit time, but as it installs, I can just take a brief explanation of how the server works. So in our server, a server is just another developed code base that is used to receive incoming HTTP request and outgoing HTTP request. Say uh, you wanted to access some service from the backend, so you will have to fetch it through an endpoint that you describe in your server. For example, it's a get request. You're going to learn about get request, put request, delete request. We have what I think I've forgotten someone, but you can just remind me in the comment section so that we can engage and get to look at maybe something that you are not comfortable with. So it has installed here. You can see it has added and removed 5 packages. You don't need to worry about that one. So let me clear the console and we can go to the package to see whether we have the dependency installed. So the dependency is not installed. Why? Because here we've just installed the dependency in this our folder. We have not navigated to our server folder for this case. So we need to navigate cd server cd to server, and then we type the npm install express in our server. Now it's going to install it and you're going to look at the updates. This is where this file becomes useful because it shows you everything that you have and everything that you don't have for your server coding or your server development for this case. Yeah, so we wait for it to install. It depends on your network. If your network is faster, it will have it installed as soon as possible. But if it's, we understand, but at the end of the day you must have the package for you to initialize the server, for you to have manipulations in your server and everything. So let's continue creating some of the things that we need. Oh, it has just completed installing the package for this case. So let me navigate back and then uninstall the one that I installed in this folder. Uninstall the one that we had installed here as we try to create this other new one. So it pops up this new folder here in our server file, that is the node packages. These are node modules that are going to be used for us. These are all the implementation to what the packages are doing in our project for this case. So we have a lot of them here. You don't need to worry about any of them, but you are going to have them imported into our files and then we manipulate it. It has removed all the packages that were installed in that directory. So cls, and then we navigate to the server so that we don't have any problem again. So here we are going to add some script in our, you can see here we have a dependency. A dependency is what we need for our package to be up and running well. So one of the dependencies, we have the dependencies and the dev dependencies, development dependencies. For this case we are having Express as the dependency for this case, and I'll be having another one. Let me just install it so that we cannot wait later. npm install Nodemon. I'll tell you what this package does. So yeah, we've created this one, but how are we going to run this server so that it can be live, so that we can access it from different points? We need to add the scripts. For this case I can add here, for example, a dev script that if I execute that one, it's going to run node and then the server.js file. So whenever this script is executed through this name here, dev, we are going to run it in development. But I can also add another one so that we can have it be running in the development, and we can just start the server for this case. And then here it's node we are going to put them different. I'm going to tell you how later. JS for this case, then you have to save it this way. So we are having this file here. We are having this file here, but we've specified that the entry file for this server to be started or to be up and running is the server.js, which we have not created, which we have specified is in the root directory for this case, because we don't have the navigations to everywhere. We've just specified it to be in the root directory. So let's create the file here. We are just going to create in this file, in the main server file, we write server.js, and we are going to just do a basic function console.log server running for this case, and we save it. So for me to invoke this to make sure that this is logged in our console, for example, for this case we are just console logging it, we need to have it executed, because if the server could be running, then we could be seeing the server running here, this string in our console. Let me clear the screen this way. But for us to run this script, we need to run this server, we need to run either this one or this one. But for this our case here, both of them are the same. We are just going to look at how we are going to make them different. So for our first testing, we are going to run npm run dev. For this case, the node package manager run the dev script for this case here. So if I press enter, yeah, the server is started, and then you are having the server started here. Similar, if we can just run npm run start, for this case is going to execute the same server, see here, and then we are having the same. But in case I had changes for this case, say for example I add another exclamation mark, say I was having you see I've saved it and it's not refreshing. This is why we needed this package that we called the Nodemon package here. Where is it? I think, is it installed? Okay, let me look at, for this our case here, let me just close it and open it afresh. Yeah, we don't have it, so I'll be just installing it. npm install Nodemon. Yeah, we are just going to install it. So Nodemon is a package. As it install, let me just take you through what Nodemon is. For this case, let's just look at the documentation in the browser. So we are just going to search here Nodemon. Yeah. So its installation is npm install Nodemon, and Nodemon here is a tool that helps developer develop Node.js based application by automatically restarting the Node application file when there is changes, you can see here. So you just install it and then you add it in your script, so that when you run it, it automatically rerun the server with the changes for this case. Yeah, so for more you can just have a look at it more deeper, but let's just go back to our VS Code. I think by at now, yeah, it's done, and I think, yeah, it's installed here. You can just see the version. This is the version of the Nodemon that is being installed. So for this case, for me to have it be running, let me clear this, be running as I'm updating, I have to include it in my script here. So instead of I could like to have it in development mode. So instead of running it using Node, I'll just run it using Nodemon here for this case. If I save it like this, so anytime I run this script here, it's going to run the server file, but in Nodemon, so that when there is changes to the file in the server, it has to refresh itself so that we have the latest updates for this case. So let me save this one. It's saved. Now let's run npm run dev. We're just going to see some weird console output here, but basically that is what it entails. Yeah, you can see here. So to restart at any time, just press, yeah, you can just see it. So if I just update anything here, say I remove all this and then I save it, it's going to refresh itself and we console log the new updates, and that is okay for our development for this case. And the server is still running, it's not stopping like when we can run it using Node. So we just create this file. So we need to import, we need to have the package. So if you come here, we are just using common.js, and in common.js, if you need to import some file or you need to have some file, you just the common convention is you just require it, and you give it back to our variables. For this instance, say express equals to uh, require 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 then into string express for this case. So we've imported express back into express, and we are going to create our app for this case. That is our server app. That is const, we assign it to a value. We just assign the express, all the utilities that are stored in express into a variable that we can manipulate later. So I'll call it app, and I assign it to express, the express here. So this express is going to return the utilities that we need for us to initialize this our server. So for this case, I've just assigned everything that is obtained from the express here back to this uh, app 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 variable. So if we needed to start the server, so I could have the port onto which we are running the server, that is the URL to which I will be accessing the server from for this case. So I can just declare some variable here, const port for this case equals to maybe say 3001 for this case. So this port is the port that I'll be using to run my server. It's a common convention to have it somewhere so that you access it anywhere within your server file. So I'll just use the app dot listen. I'm going to add a listener for our server, and then here we are going to accept two things: the port onto which will be listening from, and the callback function that we are going to execute when the server is running, when we reach that port, that is. So for this instance, I'll say port, let me just use port, will run out, we can use it later. And then we have the callback function here. Then we can say console.log and then you are just going to use this backtick to have it a string mixed with some variable, that is server running on port. Then we use the port that we had, port this way. So when I save it, it's going to refresh, and if there is no problem, you're going to have the server running on this port, as you can see here. So we've created a basic server that is going to run on this port. If we wanted to have a route, if I can just head to the browser, for this case, let's test it on the browser. We see whether it's going to show us something regarding the port. We've said it's running locally, so we're just going to here local host, and then we said it is 3001 for this case. So if you see it's saying that we cannot get this one, it means your server is up and running. For example, if we had a route here that is going to do something here, we can have it here. For example, I can say maybe we add a route, that is, for example, if it is this URL, then slash maybe API slash get all. Say we are getting all the posts. For this case, if I just put it this way, it means if we access this endpoint, we will we will have all the posts fetched from this. So we will use a get request for this case. So we'll use the app.get for this case, and then we specify the it's as of string, the URL that we are going to use. I mean, let me copy this, and then we navigate back to our development code here, so that we can do it in VS Code. So here we paste this URL here, and then we specify, we have a callback function which has two parameters passed to it, that is the req for request and the res for response. And then this function, I'm using an arrow function. This function, let's say it's going to return, we are just going to return the response I mean, I just used it, res dot send, say, and then we specify, we say this all posts here. For this case, if we hit this endpoint, we are going to have something sent from the server that is going to be all posts here. If we had an object for example of posts, maybe post 1, post 2, we are just going to send it here. So if we navigate to our browser, for this case, because we are still in the same endpoint here, and then we refresh it, it's getting us nothing. Why? Because we forgot to add the type of requests. Okay, we are going to run it here. So it's a get request res.send. Let me send some object here, name me. For this case, let me see whether it will run. Let's see whether the server is going to be running. So the server is running, but we can't access it in our browser. This is where we need something we call a middleware. Middlewares, these are utilities that we add somewhere within our codes so that we can have it running. It must be executed for everything below it to be executed, that is. So for our case here, let me just let's here we navigate to the server. For this case here, yeah, we are in a simple full stack then server. Let me just kill all these because we are not sure of let me add new. Then we navigate to the server folder, cd server here, and then cls. We are going to install what we call course, npm install course. This is a very useful tool in your development. Let me take you to the browser so that we can get a little bit of what course is. Simply, course is what that will help us to access it through different. It will make us access it through different. I mean origins. Yeah. So for this case, let me just go here in our packages here. So we write course for this case, and then we look at it. It's a useful tool. It helps you define what origin will access, the type of request that you will be getting from the origin. So this is how you install it. And then this is a node course is a node package for providing connection express middleware. It's a middleware that can be used to enable course within your project for this case. So you're going to have it here as a middleware. Here you don't specify anything, but this is when you can specify here, like for this case you're just specifying some options. The options are the origin where you're accessing this from, say from a given front end. You can have an array of the front ends that you need to access it from, and the posts, and I mean the type of request that you will be getting from there. Yeah, so let's go back to our VS Code and see what we can do with the installed course for this case. So we are just going to add it somewhere here after this variable, so that it's going to be up. All middlewares are just going to be added before the code that you need to be executed with those middlewares. So for this instance, I'll just want, after we've created this instance of the Express server, we will want to load the middleware that is app.use course middleware. We've not imported it. You can say const course equals to require course for this case here. So I think as at this point, if I save this file, the course is configured here. So we are having this, let me say, okay, all posts slash all post for this case, like this. So if we hit this endpoint, it's going to execute this one, and which is going to return an object that is of a key, a name, and the value of the key is me for this instance. So let me close this, and then npm run dev for this case. So the server is running, it's okay. So if we navigate to the browser. Let's navigate to the browser and see what it has for us. And here, get all, for this case, I mean local host 3001 in this case. And then here we have slash get all. You see, it has returned what we expected it to have. This is because we've implemented the course. For us, course it has to make us access it through different properties that we define it to access from, for this case. So at this point, we've just created a simple server where we are just getting, and if you just need maybe a post request that is sending some data to the to this server from some front end, you are just going to use the app dot post. Let me show you the logic. It's similar to the app dot. So let me, app dot post into the URL that you want, maybe say login, or maybe create post. For this case, create posts, let it be single. And then we have the function that accepts two parameter, that is the req for the request body, req the request body, and the res for the response that will give back to the server, to the client, that is. So we are just going to do something with maybe the request. For example, if we've just sent something from the front end, it can be, for example, in our case, let's say we were just sending some data from the front end, that is, you send it in this structure of maybe name, post type, maybe let me say this, let it be a login. It's a login post request to a route called login. And then we have maybe the email. For this case, email as abc at gmail.com. And then we have the password as maybe abc at 123 for this case. So if this is sent from the front end, all this is going to be stored in the request body for this case. So if you wanted to access it, you can just have it const here, and then we say request data for this case is equals to the request dot body. This is going to return what we have for this case. And then if you wanted to send it maybe to some server somewhere, or maybe check it, you write here the logic for login using the req data. You can just state something there from the request data that you've gotten from the front end with some from the database, that is, because basically you're going to fetch them from the database. So you have it, and then you can res.send, that is, after you've done everything, you can send maybe an object saying or maybe res.send that is message and then you specify the message logged in successfully for this case. Let me fix, I don't know, I have problem with typos. So this is the case for this case. That is after every logic is done well. That is, say you can have a function here, say if for this case maybe the password from this logic, if the password match password pass match, let's say okay, it's you can have a variable here, say const match, or maybe correct. No problem with spellings. Correct, and then you have something, maybe say it will return a comparison between if password, maybe from the backend, maybe backend or database db we just assuming we've fetched this one from somewhere, dot, let me use db dot db dot email matches the req dot email, because we specified this at an object or which has the email for this case. So from the rec data, that is, we are just going to use this because it's what we've gotten from the request. So rec dot this one, we just store it, it will store a boolean for this case, and then we have this one for let's say this is the correct email, this one correct password for this case. So this one just going to have it as password for this case. Yeah, so for this case, so we are having this one, and then we'll have it being tested here. That is, both of them must be correct for us to, of course, log in. So for this instance, so you can say correct email and password pass and correct password. Then we have to maybe say this person has logged in successfully. Just move it to this one. You just, yeah, else we can just say the same response here this way, yeah, or maybe you can just say append some status say 4004 404, that is for not found. It means the record was not found, and then we attach this 4004, then we attach I've just mixed myself here, so this is going to be here. So first of all, we are sending the status code, we are result.status code of 404, and then we are sending the message, an object with a message said failed login, or maybe invalid user name or password, so that in case password for this case, so that in case somebody was just trying it out, he or she doesn't know whether it's the email, the password or the user or the email, I mean email for this case. So this is how we've just declared some logic for our post requests. You can see here. So this is the logic here. Let me just display them nicely. Conditionals for login here. So yeah, so this is a simple Express backend for our case. So a little bit of something I was to touch on, it's before we close this, it's the imports here. This is common JS that we are using in this file, but we have modern. You can see even if I hover here, it will tell you file is a common JS module. It may be converted to the ES module. The ES module is the modern way of import, whereby we use the keyword import a given package or maybe a given function or utility from somewhere. So for us to implement that, we are going to do some changes in our package.json here in our type. So instead of having a common JS, let's import them in modules. For this case, module this way. So if I save it and we open up our terminal, it is having an error because we are just running it. If I save it like this, yeah, it's going to yell out. Let me stop the server. For some reason, I don't know why it's npm run dev. So it's going to yell back that we are not using the proper imports. You can see here. So we are just using this one. Require is not defined in the ES module scope. You can use import instead. So for this case, so all these inputs, so for us to import the Express, we are just going to use import. So let me comment it out. Then we have it imported, import Express from, then Express for this case. Now this is the equivalent version in the ES module import, the modern way, to this one, to the older common JS version for that one. And then we are going to have this one commented out and imported appropriately. Import course from course for this case. So, and if I save it, it's going to run smoothly. It's going just to run. Yeah, it has just run exactly how we expected it with no errors for this case. So yeah, if I save it, let's just save it to make all this error disappear. For this our case here. So that is basically it for you to create a simple server for this instance. So yeah, thank you for your time, and thank you if you for staying with us until this point, because if you've stayed up to this far, it means then the content must be useful. And what I could request from you is just hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so that it can motivate me to do more of this. And as we wait for the next upload, that is when we are going to do the next the front end. We are going to create a simple front end here, a simple React front end using Vite. That is a way of creating a React application. We are going to learn how why we are using Vite in our client here, so that we link it to the server that we've created, and we see how the everything flows, including seeing how this post request here, this post implementation is going to be executed if we send this data from the front end. That is so that we can look at all this, and we'll implement the back the code, the database also. So thank you. I appreciate your time unto this far. Kindly subscribe to the channel, like the button, leave a comment of how you feel about the course, leave a message of maybe a suggestion of what you feel we could do next time, or maybe how you feel you could have implemented some section. So thank you. I massively appreciate your effort, and let's keep growing in the channel. Yeah, so thank you.